Just want to serve my country, be the best fighter pilot in the Navy, sir.
You want to know who the best is? That's him, Iceman. It's the way he flies, ice cold, no mistakes.
You need to be doing it better and cleaner than the other guys. I'm Maverick.
Maverick? Does your mother not like you or something?
I gotta do something here. I still can't believe it. I gotta give you your dream shot. You two characters are going to Top Gun.
You are the top 1% of all naval aviators. The elite. We'll make it better.
You figured it out yet?
What's that?
Who's the best pilot?
I'm an instructor at this school. I see 20 new hot shots every 8 weeks.
Every time you go up in the air, you're unsafe.
That's right.
I am dangerous.
Not your flying. It's your attitude.
Yeah, I guess when I see something, I go right after it.
It takes a lot more than just fancy flying.
I got a family to think about. I can't afford to blow this. You're the only family I've got. I'm not gonna let you down. Gentlemen, this school is about combat.
10 more seconds, then I've got him.
There are no points for second place.
What you do up there is dangerous. But you've got to go on.
Ice.
Yes, sir.
Hollywood.
Yes, sir.
Sector 2. Maverick, you back him up with Merlin on Ready 5.
Yes, sir.
There are MiGs in the area and tensions are high. If you witness a hostile act, you will return fire. Gentlemen, this is the real thing.
Yeah, we're coming left.
This is what you've been trained for.
3 MiGs dead ahead, coming down the left side.
You are America's best.
1 MiG 12 o'clock high. 1 MiG 12 o'clock high.
Make us proud.
I got radar lock. You clear to fire. I got a good lock. Fire. I'm firing.
Tom Cruise, Kelly McGillis, Top Gun.
Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1986 action classic, Top Gun, starring Tom Cruise, Kelly McGillis, Val Kilmer, Tom Skerritt, Michael Ironside. The list goes on and on. Tim Robbins. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club, I discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the past. Go ahead and go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club, and give us the big thumbs up. You can also go to our page on YouTube at KD9575. Hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. You do all that, you get the latest updates whenever I post a video, any interesting links about the movies we enjoy. You'll get it. Okay? And don't forget to spread the word, won't you? Top Gun. Maverick, Lieutenant Pete Mitchell, is a naval aviator who's kind of reckless. Okay? He plays by his own set of rules. Okay? He's kind of dangerous. But for one reason or another, he gets picked to go to the top aviation school in the world, essentially, called Top Gun. Only the top 1% or whatever of all naval aviators are even invited. Okay, the idea is that it will increase their dogfighting skills. It's not just missiles and stuff. It's being able to go head to head with enemy aircraft and take care of biz. Okay, so that's what it's about. So Maverick, he goes there. He's got kind of a checkered past. His father, who was also an aviator, died under mysterious circumstances. He's got kind of a bullseye on his back. But he's desperate to win the Top Gun trophy. If you win the Top Gun trophy, you will get to pick your choice of assignments. Anywhere you want to go, it's yours. Maverick brings along his Rio, which is the radar intercept officer, basically the guy who rides behind him. Goose. They go along to do all these things. He's essentially the guy who looks at the radar, but he's also kind of looking over his shoulder. Oh, there's an aircraft coming. Maverick, look out. That's what the Rio does. While they're there, They meet some other guys. They meet Iceman and his Rio Slider, who are kind of like their nemesis. Okay, Iceman, he's cold as ice. He not flashy, but he gets the job done. Eventually, your enemy kind of gets bored, makes a mistake, and that's when he gets them. Okay, so you got, you know, fire and ice. You have Maverick, wild and reckless, and Ice, who's kind of slow and steady, wins the race. Okay, so you know, he's doing these things. They're training, learning about dogfighting. Well, he's kind of breaking the rules. There's flybys on the tower. He flies below the hard deck, which is a big no-no, evidently. Along the way, he meets Charlie, who is a civilian contractor, played by Kelly McGillis. She is like an expert in aviation of some sort, but she's not. She's a civilian, okay? And she's interested in him because he was one of the few people who's gone up against one of the legendary MiG-28 aircraft from a foreign nation. They never identify what. And he's into her because he's a young guy and she's allegedly an attractive lady. So he's, you know, hey, let's get together. I'm Maverick. I'm a pilot. Let's get down to biz. One thing leads to another. Shockingly enough, they get together, have a little romance. Along the way, we get to know Maverick and Goose's relationship. They're obviously like best buddies. Goose has got a young, beautiful family. But because of his wild and reckless nature, Maverick's superiors are constantly going, he's like the best fighter I've ever seen, but he's dangerous. He takes too many chances. I don't know if I'd want him with me. And then there's like 5 scenes where Iceman walks into the locker room with like wrapped in a towel and goes, Maverick, you're dangerous, man. You know, whose side are you on, really? Come on, just put your shirt on at least before you lecture me, okay, big guy? Thanks. So anyway, during one of these training missions, they accidentally, Maverick and Goose go into a flat spin, which they're unable to control. This is what a flat spin is, I guess, your plane flies around. So they eject. Goose hits something in the air, and so he's, spoiler alert, I'm dead. So Goose is no longer with us, is very upset. Maverick is now, he's lost his confidence because he lost his best buddy. So now he's kind of like, I'm going to quit Top Gun. I can't take it anymore. So I don't want to spoil anything else, okay? So check it out. And what can I tell you about this movie? It was based initially upon an article written in California Magazine talking about Top Gun, which is a real, at the time it was a naval air station. It has since become a Marine Corps air station. And they wrote the script, kind of, they wanted to play up all the interesting aspects of being a naval aviator. And they brought in naval officers to kind of advise them on what to do it. This was produced by Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer, who through the 80s and into the 90s basically did all the great kind of action, adventure type films from that time. Tom Cruise was picked, but only after about 100 different people turned down the role. A lot of people were like, I'm out. People like Matthew Modine, John Travolta, Patrick Swayze, the list, I mean, it's literally as long as my arm, turned it down. A lot of them said they didn't want to do it because they felt it glorified war. Okay? Some actresses passed on the role of Charlie that went to Kelly McGillis for similar reasons. So, Tom Cruise eventually was cast, and at this point we all know Tom Cruise is a big star, but he was still kind of a relatively unknown. I mean, he'd been in things, but this was one of the first things that really put him on the map as somebody who could be like an action type star. One interesting aspect, they had Tom Cruise, Kelly McGillis. Cruise actually had to wear lifts in his shoes because Kelly McGillis is 5'10", and poor little Tom Cruise only about 5'7". Very sad. If you look close, earlier in the movie and then later in the movie, Cougar's Rio, Merlin, is actually Tim Robbins, who's like 6.5 feet tall. Okay, so whenever he's in there, it's like literally like some kind of crazy Sasquatch has wandered onto the set. What's going on? Especially next to Tom Cruise. It's ridiculous. Good times. Val Kilmer, who plays Iceman. Also, kind of early in his career, he actually didn't even want to be in this movie. He was compelled to due to contractual reasons. And frankly, you can tell by his performance. I was telling my wife, it's like, if this was the only movie I ever saw Val Kilmer in, I'm like, he's got to be the worst actor I've ever seen. It's like every line he delivers in a bizarre, almost a Jeff Goldblum-esque performance. There's a later scene. there's a showdown earlier in the movie between Maverick and Iceman. When Val Kilmer goes, "You're dangerous, man." And Maverick goes, "That's right. Ice. Man. I am dangerous." And then Val Kilmer unexpectedly tries to bite Maverick. He's like, "Arr!" Does something like that. I don't know what's going on. Who is doing this movie? This movie, as you might imagine, became a huge recruiting tool for the Navy and the military in general. Like something like people wanting to become naval aviators increased by 500% the 2 years after this. The studio actually had to pay $7,000 a minute for every shot of an aircraft in the air that wasn't just them filming the aircraft doing their regular maneuvers. At one point, Tony Scott, who was the director, he had to write a check, just pull out his checkbook and write a check for $25,000 to get an aircraft carrier to turn around so he could reshoot a scene. The Navy only allowed them to shoot 2 actual missiles, and they tried to shoot it from different angles to get it right, and then they did a lot of things with miniatures. There was talk that there was going to be a Top Gun sequel right after this, a couple years later, and the reason that there wasn't initially is because a lot of the technology had increased in those 2 years, and the Navy didn't want, Hollywood to spill the beans, essentially. So they said, no thanks. Now, over the last 30 years, they said, the studios were like, we still want to do a sequel. So there's talk that there's going to be a Top Gun 2 coming out within the next few years. So look for it. With Tom Cruise still playing Maverick, evidently. So let's keep our fingers crossed, won't we? Good times had by all. Now, another thing that I love about this movie, this is literally the 5th or 6th movie that has Kenny Loggins in the soundtrack. Take a minute. Can you think of all the other movies that have Kenny Loggins in the soundtrack from the 80s? You got Caddyshack, right? You obviously got Top Gun, right? You got Over the Top. Hey! There was also Caddyshack 2. Hey, you can't forget that one, right? Although we'd like to. And I know there's another one that's jumping out of my mind, but if you know, let me know. So there you have it. That is Top Gun. It currently has a 54% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, which is ridiculous. This thing is a classic. Roger Ebert said this is a hard movie to judge because all the stuff of them flying around in their planes was amazing. He loved it. He's had a problem with all the other scenes. Wah, wah, wah. So I enjoy it. I highly recommend it. If for some reason you haven't seen it. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix, so check it out. Let me know what you think. Any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, anything you want to get off your chest, movie suggestions, I'd love to hear it, and maybe I'll talk about it on the show. Next week, we're moving away from the action genre, deep into the horror genre. When Dogs Go Wild. We're doing the classic Stephen King film, Cujo. So check that out. It is streaming instantly on Netflix. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Go ahead and follow us on YouTube and click subscribe. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the B Movie Club. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote. And here it is. Tower, this is Ghost Rider requesting a flyby. So there you have it. That was Top Gun. Thank you for joining us. Next week, we're going to be doing Cujo. Be well.